Shalom, Hebrews and Shebrews. This is Oilfield Disciple. We are getting our daily bread on. We're beginning in Genesis 42. Here in a minute, I'm going to flip the camera around, and it's just a pretty nice wooden fence. As I pulled up here today, it kind of reminded me of that saying that we used to say about freedom here in America. We have the illusion of freedom, and we think we have freedom, which is the same thing as a deer or a gazelle or a giraffe or whatever in a wildlife refuge. They're free until they hit the fence, and then they realize they're in captivity. That's where we're at here today. Now, let's equate that with. Before we get started with reading here, I want to hit on this because it's very important. It was pounded on me last night. It was a spiritual, I guess, a spiritual manifestation of a physical representation. Um, I had to realize, am I walking in the spirit or am I walking in the flesh? Because if I'm walking in the spirit, although I'm in captivity here, I'm free in the spirit. You feel me? And so that hit me hard. And last night I had a huge battle last night spiritually. Um, got up this morning, read a little bit, prayed, got my spirit squared away, realized where I was at. I was kind of getting off course. Now I'm back on the straight. So let me flip the camera around. Y'all be blessed, be encouraged, and you know it. Always be frustrated. This word should frustrate you. Go look it up for yourself. All right, there's the fence. This is the yard we're working in. Have been for the last couple of weeks while our oil field wells are down. None of our wells are pumping, so we're over here getting everything all straightened out. So when it does go back up, it'll save us time and money. Anyway, Genesis 42. Now Joseph was exalted yesterday, back to the top of the food chain in Egypt. Number two, Pharaoh give him the authority over everything, and so we got to think about that. Anyway, 42. Read, Matt. And when Jacob saw that there was grain in Mitzrayim, Jacob said to his sons, "Why do you look at each other?" And he said, "See, I have heard that there is grain in Mitzrayim. Go down that place and buy for us there, and let us live and not die." Okay, now Jacob is telling his sons, go on to Egypt. We need some food. We're out. It's going to be the reuniting of our brothers. Then Joseph's 10 brothers went down to buy grain in Mitzrayim, but Jacob did not send Joseph's brother Benjamin, with his brothers, for he said, lest some harm come to him. Now Benjamin is the last son born to Jacob, and just like Joseph, and he lost Joseph, so he thought, and he thinks, he's coddling Benjamin. And the sons of Israel went to buy grain among those who journeyed, for the scarcity of food was in the land of Canaan. And Joseph was the governor over the land, and he was the one who sold to all the people of the land. And Joseph's brothers came and bowed down before him with their faces to the earth. This fulfilled Joseph's dream that he had when he was younger, in his teen years, got him sold into slavery, which fulfilled God's plan for God's people. It took time. We want it now. And Joseph was the governor over the land, and he was one who sold all the people of the land. And Joseph's brothers came, bowed down before him with their faces to the earth. And Joseph saw his brothers and recognized them, but he acted as a stranger to them and spoke to them harshly and said to them, "Where do you come from?" And they said, "We're from the land of Canaan to buy food." So Joseph recognized his brothers, but they did not recognize him. Joseph has the opportunity to jack them up. Okay? Remember what you did to me? Oh, you're fixing to go through hell. Joseph doesn't do that. Neither should we. Joseph remembered the dreams which he had dreamed about them, said to them, "You are spies. You have come to see the nakedness of the land." They said to him, "No, my master, but your servants have come to buy food. We are all one man's son. We are trustworthy. Your servants are not spies." He said to them, "No, but you have come to see the nakedness of the land." They said, "Your servants are 12 brothers, the sons of one man in the land of Canaan. And see, the youngest is with our father today, and one is no more. Joseph said to them, It is as I spoke to you, saying, You are spies. But this you shall be proven. By this you shall be proven. By the life of Pharaoh, you do not leave this place unless your youngest brother come here. Send one of you and let him bring your brother while you are kept in prison. So let your words be proven to see whether there is any truth in you, or else, by the life of Pharaoh, you are spies. And he put them all together in prison for 3 days. That's a little bit of payback. He's got a reason for this. And it's a loving reason. Now Joseph said to them the third day, Do this and live, for I fear Elohim. If you are trustworthy, let one of your brothers be confined to your prison house, and you go bring grain from the scarcity of food of your houses. And bring your youngest brother to me, and let your words be confirmed, and you not die. And so they did. And they said to each other, Truly we are guilty concerning our brother, for we saw the distress of his life when he pleaded with us, yet we did not listen. That is why the distress has come upon us. And Reuben answered them, saying, Did I not speak to you, saying, Do not sin against the boy? And you would not listen? And see, his blood is now required of us? Bickering back and forth. It's not my fault, it's your fault. Blame game. And they did not know that Joseph understood them, for he spoke to them through an interpreter. And he turned himself away from them and wept, but came back to them and spoke to them. And he took Shimon from them and bound him before their eyes. And Joseph commanded, and they filled their sacks with grain, also to put back every man's silver to his sack, and to give them food for the journey. And thus was done for them. So they loaded their donkeys with the grain and went from there. And as one of them opened his sack to give the donkey fodder at the lodging place, he saw his silver, for there it was in the mouth of his sack. And he said to his brothers, My silver's been returned, and there it is in my sack. And their hearts sank, and they were afraid, saying to one another, What is that Elohim has done to us? So they came to Jacob, their father, in the land of Canaan, and reported to him all that befell them, saying, The man, the master of the land, spoke to us harshly, and took us for spies for the land. But we said to him, We are trustworthy, we are not spies. We are 12 brothers, sons of your father. One is no more, and the youngest is today with our father in the land of Canaan. And the man, the master of the land, said to us, By this I know that you are trustworthy. Leave one of your brothers with me, take your food for the scarcity of food of your households, and go, and bring your youngest brother to me. And I know that you are not spies, but that you are trustworthy. I give your brother to you, and you move about in the land. It came to be as they emptied their sacks that, look, the bundle of each man's silver was in his sack. And when they and their father saw the bundles of silver, they were afraid. And Jacob, their father, said to them, You have bereaved me. Joseph is no more, and Shimon is no more, and you would take Benjamin? All this is against me? So Reuben spoke to his father, saying, Take the lives of my 2 sons, if I do not bring him back to you. Put him in my hands, and I myself will bring him back to you. But he said, My son is not going down with you, for his brother is dead, and he is left alone. If any harm should come to him along the way in which you go, then you would bring down my gray hair with sorrow to Sheol. Joseph's like, Absolutely not, man. I lost one, ain't losing the other one. Boy, we have a hard time letting go of things. We have a hard time letting go of physicality, walking in the spirit. I say that because, boom, it hit me yesterday. And I'm dealing with it today, figuring it out. So bear with me. I'm a little tense. We're going to move on to Psalms, I think 44, 43 or 44. Yep, 44. O Elohim, we have heard with our ears. Our father have related to us the work you did in their days, in the days of old. You drove out the nations with your hand. But them you planted. You afflicted people and sent them out. For not by their own sword did they possess the land, neither did their own arm save them. But it was your right hand and your right arm, and the light of your face, because you delighted in them. You yourself are my sovereign, O Elohim. We didn't do none of this. None of this come about by my power, but by God's power. We've got to give him all of that. That's where I'm at. Command deliverances for Jacob. Through you we push our enemies. Through your name we tread down those who rise against us. There's that rebellion. We're not supposed to rebel against the authorities. Now, come on now. For I do not trust in my bow, and my sword does not save me. For you have saved us from our enemies, and have put to shame those who hated us. In Elohim we shall boast all day long, and praise your name forever. Selah. Selah means you need to stop and think about what you've just read and dearly meditate upon it. Yet you have rejected us and put us to shame, and you do not go with our armies. You make us turn back from the adversary, and those who hate us have plundered us. You do not give us sheep to be eaten, and you have scattered us among the nations. You sell your people for no value and have set no high price on them. You make us reproach to your neighbors, and scorn and a mockery to those round about us. You make us a proverb among nations, and shaking of the head among the peoples. My reproach is always before me, and the shame of my face has covered me, because of the voice of the slander and the blasphemer, because of the enemy and avenger. All this has come upon us, but we have not forgotten you, neither have we been false to your covenant. Our heart has not turned back. That's where we need to get, y'all, because all this calamity, all this disaster, disease, plague, and famine is coming our way. Unless God, Most High Yahweh, intervenes and redirects what I see coming. Yet you have crushed us in the place of jackals and covered us with the shadow of death. If we have forgotten the name of our Elohim, or stretched out our hands to a strange mighty one, would Elohim not search this out? For he knows the secret of the heart. But for your sake, we are killed all the day long, reckoned as sheep for the slaughter. Awake! Why do you sleep, O Yahweh? Arise! You know, Yahweh, when you can talk like that. That's not being disrespectful. That's boldly coming before the throne of God and begging with boldness. Do not reject us forever. Why do you hide your face, ignoring your affliction and your oppression? For our being is bowed down to the dust, our body cleaved to the earth. Arise and be our help, and redeem us for your loving commitment's sake. If we're following Messiah, we had better be heeding those words right there and on our face praying prayerfully. Proverbs, Mishle 12. Whoever loves discipline loves knowledge, but he who hates reproof is stupid. The good obtains favor from Yahweh, but the man of wicked deceives. Man of wicked devices, he declares wrong. A man is not established by wrongness, but the root of the righteous shall be moved. A capable wife is the crown of her husband. I'm going to tell you what, my wife is the crown, my physical rock in this spiritual walk. Being Jesus my spiritual rock, but my wife is my physical rock. But one causing shame is like the rottenness in his bones. The thoughts of the righteous are right ruling. The counsels of the wrong are deceit. The words of the wrong are lie and wait for blood. But the mouth of the straight deliver them. The wrong are overthrown and are no more, but the house of the righteous stand. A man is praised according to his wisdom, but the perverted of heart become despised. Better to be lightly esteemed and have a servant than highly esteemed who lacks bread. The righteous regards the life of his beast, but the compassion of the wrong is cruelty. He who tills his land is satisfied with bread, but he who pursues vanities is lacking heart. The wrong shall covet the catch of the evildoers, but the root of the righteous yield fruit. Keynote there. In the transgression of the lips is an evil snare, but the righteous gets out of distress. Watch what we speak and say. That's for me today. Let my mouth get away from me last night. For that, I'm sorry. I've repented all day. From the fruit of his mouth, one is filled with good, and the work of a man's hands is given back to him. The way of a fool is right in his own eyes, but he who listens to advice is wise. A fool's wrath is known at once, but a clever one covers shame. He who speaks truth declares righteousness, but a false witness deceit. Rash speaking is like piercings of a sword, but the tongue of the wise is healing. The lip of truth is established forever, but a lying tongue is but for a moment. Deceit is in the heart of those who plot evil, but counselors of peace have joy. Let us have joy. We should have peace right now. No harm befalls the righteous, but the wrong shall be filled with evil. Lying lips are an abomination to Yahweh, but those who deal truly are his delight. A clever man is concealing knowledge, but the heart of fools proclaim folly. The hand of the hard worker rules, but the lazy is put to compulsory labor. Anxiety in the heart of a man causes depression. There we go. We got that spirit all over this country right now. Anxiety, fear, and it's causing depression. I heard a report this morning that this guy lost his job. He felt like he'd lost everything. He had a wife of 12 years and a 14-year-old daughter. He wrote him this note that said, I can't take it no more. And this, I want you to tell my story, is proof COVID-19 is killing people, but not by COVID-19. He went out and killed himself. I mean, come on, man. It was a sad story, but that's what happens when we don't have Yahweh. We don't feel like we have any hope. We lost everything. So you lost your money. Who gives a damn? Walk in the way of Yah and you don't need money. Yes, we do. No, you don't. And if you do, he'll provide. He'll bring you a fish and it'll be in its mouth. Go read. The righteous is a guide. Oops, right. But a good word makes him glad. The righteous is a guide to his neighbor. That's why we read this book, this Bible, this scripture, this word, the living God, the truth every day. A good word makes him glad. No matter how sad and frustrated we get, we should be able to find peace, yet frustration in a good way in the scripture. The frustration is the conviction. I got to change something. The righteous is a guide to his neighbor, but the way of the wrong lead him astray. The lazy one has no game to roast, but the hard worker prizes his possessions. And the way of righteousness is life, and in its pathway there is no death. Righteousness, doing what God says, when he says it, because he says it. Huh? Pleasing God, doing the commands, doing the things, repenting when needed. Let's get to Mark. We got on through this one pretty quick. I've got to go back to work here shortly, so. There's a Mark 12, 11, 12, somewhere around there. I'll find it. Chapter 12 in Mark. Marcos. Y'all following me? Hope so. I hope you're reading this for yourself. 12:1, and he began to speak to them in parables. A man planted a vineyard and put a hedge around it, dug a vat for the winepress and built a watchtower, and let it out to farmers and went away. And at harvest time he sent a servant to the farmers to receive some of the fruit of the vineyard from the farmers. They seized him, beat him, and sent him away empty-handed. Again he sent them another servant. Throwing stones at him, they wounded him in the head and sent him away, having insulted him. Again he sent another, and they killed him, and many others beat him, some and killing some. He had one more son, his beloved. He sent him last of all, saying, They shall respect my son. But those farmers said among themselves, This is the heir. Come, let us kill him, and the inheritance shall be ours. They took him and killed him, threw him out of the vineyard. What then shall the owner of the vineyard do? He shall come and destroy the farmers and give the vineyard to others. Have you not read the scripture? The stone which the builders rejected has become the chief cornerstone. This was from Yahweh, and it's marvelous in our eyes. That's Tehillim 118:23 or Psalms 118:23. And they were seeking to seize him, being Jesus, but feared the crowd, for they knew he had spoken the parable against them, and leaving him, they went away. Well, Jesus know how to speak, don't he? You don't argue with you. He just spits out some scripture. You cry, run away like a little girl. And they sent to him some of the Pharisees and the Herodians to catch him in a word. And when they came, they said to him, Teacher, we know that you are true, and it does not concern you about anyone. For you are not partial to any, but teach the way of Elohim in truth. Is it right to pay tax to Caesar or not? Here we go. Should we pay or should we not pay? And he, knowing their hypocrisy, said to them, Why do you try me? Bring me a denarius to look at. And they brought it. A denarius is a coin. And they brought it, and he said to them, Whose likeness and inscription is this? They said to him, Caesar. So Yeshua said to them, Give to Caesar what is Caesar's, and to Elohim what is Elohim's. And they marveled at him. We missed that point, y'all. What is Elohim? What is Elohim's? Everything. So you give everything to Elohim. Do we pay taxes? Sure. That's not contradicting God in any way. But we give our lives and we give everything to Elohim. Think on that. Selah. And Sadducees, who say there is no resurrection, came to him and they asked him, Teacher, Moshe wrote to us that if a brother of any dies and leaves his wife behind and leaves no children, his brother should take his wife and raise up offspring for his brother. There were 7 brothers, and the first took a wife and died, leaving no offspring. The second took her, died, leaving no offspring, and the third likewise. And the 7 left no offspring. Last of all, the woman died too. And the resurrection then, when they rise, whose wife shall she be? For 7 had her as a wife. And Yeshua answered and said to them, Is this not why you go astray? Because you do not know the scriptures, nor the power of Elohim? For when they rise from the dead, they neither marry nor are given in marriage, but are as messengers in heaven. And concerning the dead, now, that's where a lot of people get confused, get all jacked up. You die, oh, you're going to heaven, get angel wings. No, you're not. Absolutely not. Rebuke that. Like the angels. The angels don't get married in heaven, okay? It was the rebellious angels that come down and took the women who were fair. In heaven, and not only that, we got this misconstrued conception of heaven anyway, of we're all going to heaven. No, read Matthew chapter 5. Some of us getting the new earth. Some of us are inheriting the earth that is renewed, made new, without sin. So that's why I say when I die, I'm going to glory. I don't know what's going to happen beyond that. All right? It's not real clear in the scriptures. Other than Jesus in the Sermon on the Mount, Matthew chapter 5, lays it down that some shall inherit heaven, some shall inherit earth, blah, 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 on down the road. And don't get me wrong when I say the blah, 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 but it's been a minute, so I don't remember all of it, and I don't want to say the wrong thing. Go read it yourself. And concerning the dead, they rise. Have you not read in the book of Moshe at the bush how Elohim spoke to him, saying, I am Elohim of Abraham, and the Elohim of Yitzhak, and the Elohim of Yaakov. He is not the Elohim of the dead, but Elohim of the living. You, then, go greatly astray. And one of the scribes coming near, hearing them reasoning together, knowing that he had answered them well, asked him, Which is the first commandment of all? And Yeshua answered, The first of all commands, Hear, O Israel, Yahweh, Eloheinu, Yahweh, Echad. Oh, sorry. Hear, O Israel, Yahweh, or Elohim, Yahweh is one. One is Echad. We talked about it yesterday. That is Devarim 6:4. Deuteronomy 6:4. Should be written on your gates, on your posts of your house. And you shall love Yahweh your Elohim with all your heart, with all your being, with all your mind, and with all your strength. This is the first command. The second, like it. This is, you shall love your neighbor as yourself. That's Leviticus 19:18. Jesus didn't just come up with this out of the top of his head. He's just quoting scripture, y'all. There is no other command greater than these. No, because if you feel those two, you fulfill the rest. And the scribe said to him, Well said, teacher. You spoke in truth. For there is one Elohim, and there is no one besides him. And to love him with all your heart, with all your understanding, and with all being, and with all strength. And to love one's neighbor as oneself is more than all ascending offerings and offerings. To be obedient is better than offerings. And when Yeshua saw that he answered wisely, he said to him, You are not far from the reign of Elohim. And after that, no one was bold enough to question him. You done shut them all up. And Yeshua responding said, while teaching in the holy place, How is it that the scribes say that Messiah is the son of David? David. David himself said that the set apart spirit, Yahweh said to my master, Sit at my right hand until I make your enemy a footstool of your feet. That's Tehillim 110. Psalms 110. David himself calls him master. In what way then is he his son? And the large crowd heard him gladly. And in his teaching he was saying to them, Beware of the scribes, who like to walk around in long robes and like greetings in the marketplaces, and the best seats in the congregation and the best places at feasts, who are devouring widows' houses, and for a show make long prayers. These shall receive greater judgment. Don't mock God. He's placed you in a place. Don't make a mockery of it. TBN pastors, Joel Osteen, Jesse Duplantis, Creflo Dollar, I go on and on. Joyce Meyer, you shall receive greater judgment because you're doing this right here. You're deceiving the people of truth. And sitting opposite the treasury, he saw how the people put copper into the treasury, and how many rich ones put in much. Oh, did I hurt somebody's feelings talking about them wicked deceivers? I'm not supposed to talk about them, judge them. Judge not lest you be judged, right? I didn't condemn them. I pointed out that their mistakes are the same as the Sadducees and the Pharisees, that it's written right here. I make a judgment call of what I see of their fruits. Be mad at me if you want. And a poor widow came and threw in 2 leptons, about 2 pennies worth, we'll say, which amount to a quadrans. And calling near his taught ones, he said to them, Truly, I say to you that this poor widow has put in more than all putting in the treasury. For they all put in of their excess, but she put out of the poverty, put in all that she had, her entire livelihood. She's just given because she's told to give of her heart. Although the Pharisees and Sadducees and the scribes and everybody's got her all jacked up, and she's probably got a screwed up theology, like widows today, like orphans today, young men today, ravaged women of today. I've been told and sold to build bullshit lives. You don't like my language? Go find another channel. Speak the truth. We've been sold a bill of deceit and lies, and we've ran with it because it sounds good and it feels good and it makes us, it feels good inside. We're to have peace. Yahweh says so. Peace and tranquility from Yahweh. Joy over happiness. Happiness is temporary. Joy is eternal. Love over lust. Y'all, I'm struggling with the huge spiritual battle of the weight of this on my shoulders. People believe in a lie and not wanting to dare hear the truth. They're fine in their theology. They're fine in their little comfort zone. And they don't want to hear nothing else. And I feel that weight, that burden over the last couple of days. It's getting really damn heavy. I praise Yah. I praise Yahweh that He has put me through the fire over the last 7 years, and the amount of times that He has, and the fires that I'm able to recognize when He's putting me in the fire to refine something. And I'm able to go to Scripture, to get the peace, to get refined and get out of the fire and get back to fighting. I used to take months and weeks in a fire trying to figure it out, just pissed off, screwed up. We got to recognize Yahweh. The burning bush, it spoke of that. You got to recognize these things that are of Yahweh. You know, you're having a bad day, it's not the devil. It may be, but more than likely, 99.9% of the time, it's God trying to get your attention, to get you to turn. You're getting off course. You're not doing the things the way He wants you to. So He's going to refine you. Proverbs today said, those, what did it say? Proverbs. He who loves discipline. So, whoever loves discipline loves knowledge. Knowledge comes wisdom. Wisdom, we find the love of God. We're able to operate in that love, that majesty, that the pureness, the agape. That is a verb. The agape love is always having to work and do. Too often times we operate in eros love or phileo love. Eros is where we get erotica. Phileo is brotherly love. But agape is God's love. It's unconditional, yet always working, always forgiving. We have a hard time staying in that agape love. Because if my brother does something to me, I'm done with him. If life doesn't go my way, I get mad. That's operating in an agape or in an phileo love. It's a love of condition. It depends on your circumstances of how much it operates. Feel me? Love versus lust. If you don't have Jesus, you don't have Messiah and Yahweh, all you got is lust. You walk in eros and phileo love, you'll never walk in agape love. And if you don't, you're going to miss the point. You're going to miss the mark. What's the mark? The cross, the foot of Jesus. That He did it for you, even though He didn't have to. And that He commanded you to go and teach and preach to all nations everything He commanded, but yet none of us know what He commanded because we won't read the damn word. We'll take everybody's word for it. We'll regurgitate garbage. Judge not, lest you be judged. Have you even read the passage? Have you even read further? Have you looked up what judge means? If not, shut the hell up. Don't talk to me if you ain't read the Bible. Don't come at me if you ain't read this Bible. Yeah, I'm a little more emotionally fired up today because the people need to hear what's coming. Hell's coming. Anyway, thank y'all that diligently watch my videos daily. Those that are new, appreciate you checking it out, sticking it out to this point. Go back and check out some of my other videos, and if you like the content, subscribe to my channel. I'm not looking for numbers just so I can say I got numbers. I'm looking to be able to speak to as many people as I can. The truth that Yahweh has showed me through these scriptures, not my opinion, not my belief. Doesn't matter about my opinion or belief. What's Yahweh say? That's all that matters. Y'all be blessed, be encouraged, and always be frustrated. This is Oilfield Disciple, and I'll catch you at the next reading.